Welcome to 72 and Sunny. We're super excited to be hosting the Geena Davis Institute. This is the second year in a row that we've hosted them in New York, and we've hosted them many times in Los Angeles, and we have an amazing relationship with them, and they're super inspiring to us in the work that we do. So we're so thrilled, and we're excited for tonight. Before I start making some introductions, I just wanted to introduce myself. I am Laura Schulson, and this is Alec Brugman. Alex and I are going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing for Black History Month, and then we will start passing it over to the Geena Davis folks.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming. 3 months ago, a group of us here at 72 and Sunny got together to figure out how we wanted to celebrate Blackness in all of its different forms. And what you see hanging on our walls in each of our conference rooms, the food that we're eating and the conversations that we've had throughout this past month is everything that we've concepted and designed out of the effort to highlight the achievements of Black people and to speak to the incredible intra-communal diversity of it. We're so happy to host the Geena Davis Institute, in part because of the incredible work that they do, but because of it aligns perfectly with what we're trying to do here at 72 and Sunny, which is to expand and diversify the creative class. So thank you so much for bringing this here. We're so happy.
Good, welcome. So now I'm going to introduce Mary Ellen Holden.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Mary Ellen Holden is an advisor to the Geena Davis Institute and New York Council lead. She spearheads business development, memberships, advocacy, and brand building in the New York market. Holden boasts a 25-year career in media, advertising, research and business development in the entertainment, news, sports, and live event industries. So please welcome Mary Ellen Holden.
Thank you, Laura, and I wanted to thank everybody who came here and actually braved the weather today, because we think it's a really important and very special event that we're hosting here today. So special thanks to 72 and Sunny for being our partners, and also to L.A.I. Communications and Tyra, wherever you are.
Over there.
Where is she?
Over there. Other side.
Oh, Tyra, thank you. Okay, for everything that she did to program and produce the event. As the New York Council lead, I just wanted to let you know that we've only had the New York Council for about 2 years while we performed events in this market prior to that. We're looking to grow membership, and we've actually tripled it over the past year and a half, which is pretty incredible. So thank you to all the members that are here in the audience. And for those of you who want to get involved or want to find a way to work with the Institute and help to bring the research, bring the message out to a broader base, you can talk to me either here or I'm located on the website. There are a lot of different ways to get a hold of me. But right now, what I want to do, because it's a fairly long program, is introduce Madeline Donano, who will walk you through what today's event looks like, and also she'll talk to you a little bit about some of the research that we recently divulged that pertains to the people of color and women in movies, films, television, and so on, and just how Hollywood and literature all intersect to influence the lives of girls today. So, Madeline?
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Sure, I'm going to move over here where you can see me. And so first of all, I want to give a shout out to 72 and Sunny. And since we're in Brooklyn, and I'm from East New York, Brooklyn, Money Talks and BS Walks, and 72 and Sunny has been making very generous financial contributions to the Institute. So I'm just keeping it real. Just want to give them a really big shout out for being here. And of course, we want to celebrate Black History Month. And one person who I want to bring up is the 100-year-old birthday of Katherine Johnson. I mean, if it wasn't for her, we would have never landed on the moon. So shout out for Katherine Johnson. Yes. And as you know, we like to level set we always like to give you a little piece of research, and we did present some research today. We call it the Geena Benchmark Study, and we looked at 10 years of film. And the overarching point is we are living in an intersectional world, and I've been using that term. Does everybody know what intersectionality means? Because a lot of people don't know what that means, and I feel badly because I haven't been giving credit to the phenomenal woman who created it. The term intersectionality was actually created 30 years ago by Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, who is the professor at Columbia Law School, and she also directs the Center for Intersectionality and Social Policy Studies, and is the co-founder of the African American Policy Forum. So I hope I get a chance to meet her. I've been shamelessly using her term. And the dictionary says intersectionality means that people have overlapping and interwoven identities such as race and class and gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, and other. And the point is as such, these groups of people can be marginalized in a multitude of ways. So as storytellers, it's really critical that we remain not only relevant, but vigilant. And consider this, in the year 2020, over 50% of our children under the age of 18 in the United States will be part of a minority ethnic group, and by 2044, no one racial or ethnic group will dominate our population. So it's really, really critical knowing that our content lives forever, our advertising lives forever. Aside from the social imperative, there's a business imperative, and this is part of the study that we released today, and we looked at the top 100 family films from 2007 to 2017 to see how are we really doing. And positively, we can say that women are 52% of the moviegoers, they're 51% of the population, and female-led films have generated 55% more over the past 10 years. So in 2007, female-centric films generated about $44 million, and now in 2017 it was up to $80 million. And the shift actually happened in 2016, where female-centric films generated $94 million versus male-led films at $88 million. But it's still a 2-to-1 ratio. So even though those female-centric films have dominated box office, we're still only 28% of the characters. So we have a long way to go. And when it comes to people of color, 40% of film goers are people of color, and people of color are 39% of the US population. However, over 10 years later, it's still a 4-to-1 ratio of white actors to black actors. And when you break down that there's only 16.7% leads of color in film, 74% are male, and 26% are female. So we're still not getting a break as gals here. And when it comes to breaking down that 16.7%, 60.4% are black, 15.4% are Latinx, Asian Americans, Southeast Asians are 14%, Middle Eastern 3.6%, and Native American, Hawaiian, Asian Pacific are 2.4%. But on a positive note, once again, in 2017, leads of color generated 14% more revenue at the box office than family films with white actors, which translated to about $12 million more at the box office. So diversity and intersectionality is good for business. But one of the areas, and we talk about intersectionality, what the other two areas that we really need to look at are LGBTQIA and disabilities. Over 10 years, less than 1% of any lead actor has been LGBTQIA or disabilities. So, and when we think about intersectionality, you know, I could be a female, I could be a person of color, I could be LGBTQ, and I could have a disability all in one body. So, you know, diversity and inclusion initiatives are great, but it's become a little siloed. You have all these different affinity groups, and we have to really think holistically from a 360-degree perspective about that. So without further ado, I want to introduce our alpha sister, Tyra Lindsay Warren, who without her, we wouldn't have such a spectacular event. I'll be back.
of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let my light shine. Let it shine. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Letting our light shine and celebrating the beauty and brilliance of women and girls of color, that's what we're doing tonight. And yes, I am Dr. Tyra Lindsay Warren, Managing Director of Lindsay & Associates International Communications, also known as L.A.I. Communications. And I too want to thank all of you for braving the elements this evening to be here with all of us. First of all, I want to thank Madeline, Jasmine, Geena, Mary Ellen, and Elizabeth and the wonderful team at the Geena Davis Institute for Gender and Media for believing in the idea that I had 2-3 years ago to curate an evening that celebrates women and girls of color in a unique way, using literature as the entry point. And not just any old literature, timeless and classic literature. And for the past 2 years, we have been celebrating the work of New York Times best-selling authors Virginia DeBerry and Donna Grant. The three of us have been on a wonderful journey to bring their canon of 7 books, 4 of which you will see on display this evening, to various different media channels, whether it's film, TV, new media, theater, whatever the case may be. So I want to thank Geena for having us and believing in my idea. And then also, much love to 72 and Sunny. Hopefully we'll get to continue to work together. Hint, hint, more and more, because we started last year in the L.A. office with our first annual Black History Month, and it's an honor to be here in New York. We were actually in L.A. last Wednesday at this time, and now all of us have flown in from our respective places to be here in New York and Brooklyn. So thank you for having us, and then also too, thank you for joining our movement and supporting us as being, or all of us as being change agents. Okay, it's not easy, you know, bringing properties starring women and girls of color to light, or even because I am a marketing professor at Baylor University, so I teach advertising and digital marketing, and it's not easy to have commercials and digital properties featuring women and girls of color. So thank you, 72 and Sunny, for all your work that you're doing, but we still have to keep pushing. And that's what tonight is about, to not only entertain you, but also empower you and equip you with information, so you too are armed with the knowledge that we've come a long way, but we still have more to go. So enjoy this evening, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you the New York Times best-selling authors, Virginia DeBerry and Donna Grant.
Good evening, and thank you for braving the elements to be here with us at 72 and Sunny. We have had the pleasure to be in your LA office, and I'm thrilled to be in Brooklyn because I am a Brooklynite. Not transplanted, born in Brooklyn Hospital. It doesn't get much more Brooklyn. So it is really.
And just in case you haven't figured it out yet, this is the Donna part of the partnership, and I am the Virginia part. And I am not from Brooklyn, but it's growing on me.
That's only taken decades.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. It means a great deal to us, not only to be a part of what the Geena Davis Institute is doing with the cooperation of 72 and Sunny. But it means a great deal to us that at this point, it's 22 years after our best-selling book, Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made, was published, that people are still reading the book and they're still writing to us about it, and that it's still meaningful to people, which speaks kind of to the point that both Madeline was talking about and Tyra was talking about, that storytelling is important. It is important to human history. We've been telling stories as long as we have been on the planet. And for a very long time, our stories weren't being told and they weren't being shared. And Donna and I have a belief that books and stories need to be windows where you get to look out and see how other people live and do things, not just mirrors that reflect back the same life that you always know.
Well, and to talk a little bit about our collaboration with Tyra, which is decades old at this point. Tyra read the book when she was working at Q West, Quincy Jones's entertainment group, and wrote to us. That tells you how long ago. It was an actual letter. But she wrote to us to find out whether it had been optioned. And that began the journey that we are still on to this day. Getting the book published initially was really a challenge. It wasn't because editors didn't like the work. It was because they couldn't figure out what category it went into. They called it the Tony Terry, or we called it the Tony Terry problem. We were too commercial to be like Toni Morrison, but we were too...
We weren't quite sister girl enough to be like Terry McMillan. So they didn't know what to call it, and so editors would pass. We don't know what to call this, we don't know what category to put it in, we're gonna pass.
So that was the first challenge, to actually get into print. And there have been those challenges along the way. It wasn't that the story wasn't appreciated by studios. And the classic story of that is there was a meeting at the studio. We love the story, we love the characters, we love the relationship between the characters.
And we won't tell you what the studio was, but it was 4 letters long and it started with an S and ended with a Y.
And obviously this is a very exciting move, that you think that something is going to be very productive about this meeting. And then they said, we see Gwyneth Paltrow and Winona Ryder. I was very clear that that was not the book that we wrote. But that is how it translated for them. If it was universal.
If the story was going to be universal, it did not have black women as the leads. So we left our little lunch at the Beverly Hilton Hotel and went back to our hotel and agreed that we could not do that. As tempting as it was to take the offer, we knew the cost that it would be to us and to black readers and to the entire population if we allowed our story to be characterized in that way. So we said no.
And another story from back in the day, we were in the office of a very powerful agent. And he was talking about, he found out, I think the only thing he knew about the story was that it took place in St. Albans, Queens, where he grew up. And as he put his feet on the desk to reminisce about his days in St. Albans, he said, you know, he loved black guys because they taught him how to fight. And he really liked black women, black girls, because, this is a quote, they sex early. Ooh. We were just stunned.
I was gripping the arms of the chair, trying not to throw something at him.
But it goes to the point that we have been seen in lights that are not the lights that we shine. They are other people's lights, and they serve other people's purposes. So in all of the stories that we have told, I don't even know that we work hard to do it. It's just, where the stories come from.
It's where the stories come from, and we tell the stories of people that we know. And we know that a large portion of the population has no idea that Black people have, let's say, had vacation homes in Martha's Vineyard for 100 years. That we have had doctors and lawyers in our families for multiple generations, because what the media portrays is a completely other image. So we tell the stories of people who live lives the way that we grew up. And we find that the stories resonate with readers. We got an email just the other day from a woman who said that she was halfway through the book before she realized the characters were African American.
And this actually used to be more common. What I find troubling as we have gone through time is that people have gotten, to some extent, more separate in what they are willing to take in. When we used to go to bookstores to read, whoever was in the bookstore was like, oh, it's an author, let me check this out. Well, it got to be later that if you were not Black, then people would kind of pass by, it's like, oh, I don't need to know that. Well, it's even more important now that we know each other's stories. And because the world is a really small place and we have nowhere else to go.
And we really are all far more alike than we are different. We all long for the same things. We want happiness and health and good families and wonderful relationships and connection. And these are the things that every human being strives for, whatever country they are from. This is what human beings need. And we write stories about that, and we are so grateful that people read them and understand that that's what they're about. They're not about race.
So we're very excited that we have 4 incredible actors who will take you through some flavor of 4 of our books. So we hope you enjoy, and I'm sure that we will be talking about this after.
Dear Donna and Virginia, I can't express to you both how I enjoyed this book. I've never written an author before, but this is the truth. I haven't put the book down yet, and I had to find a way to contact y'all to let you know, awesome job! I'm currently serving a year tour in Iraq, and my 2 best friends are here. We haven't met the same challenges verbatim, but I couldn't stop thinking of us as I turned each page. I went on your website to see how I can order your other books, but I know I can find it on Amazon.com because I'm sure they would mail them to Iraq. Thank you for your wonderful book. It really did take me out of the madness I'm here in over here.
Patty! Oh, it is happening! No!
Gail picked up a hand mirror and checked out her prom view from all angles in the mirror above the dresser.
I knew it would. This is just the beginning. Soon, Marcus and I will have a fierce wedding with a white Rolls Royce or maybe a carriage and horses, and then we'll have a big old house built with marble bathrooms and chandeliers and
Gail Denise Saunders, do you hear yourself? Do you even think that he might be throwing away his education? Have you even ever once considered what's best for Marcus?
She hadn't meant to say that. She was planning to joke around while Gail got dressed like they used to. But she heard Marcus's name and something that was still too hot exploded.
And you know it's best for everyone, right?
Gail yanked open a dresser drawer and pitched a strapless bra, ivy lace panties, and a package of pantyhose on the bed.
She met all those rich people, and it's like I'm not good enough for her right now anymore.
I didn't say that.
Huh.
But all you're doing is counting his money and what he can buy you with it.
When they were girls, the small bedroom had been plenty big for shared thoughts and separate dreams. But they were almost women now. Pat's dreams stepped on Gail's toes, and Gail's hopes just rubbed Pat the wrong way.
And suppose Marcus doesn't marry you. What are you gonna do?
He's gonna marry me because we're in love, and I wouldn't expect you to know what that means because it's not a doggone textbook.
Gail tied a nylon scarf around her hair, carefully tucking in stray curls.
Believe me, I know more than what's in a textbook. For instance, I know being cute won't get you over forever.
What would you know about being cute or having a boyfriend? You dress like a bulldagger and you act like you know more than anybody. No man is going to want you making him feel stupid all the time, and it's going to be hard knowing so much and being all by yourself.
I may be alone, but I'll be able to take care of myself. What are you planning to do between the time you graduate and when you become Mrs. Marcus Better than Reggie Jackson Carter, huh? Or are you just gonna sit on your lazy behind and wait? And what if he never makes it? Are you gonna still marry him then?
Oh, he's going to make it all right. I know Marcus will do it, and I'll be right there with him.
Part 2, 10 years later. Pat walked to Gail's table.
Is there someplace we can talk?
There is no need. Some things can be fixed. I learned that the hard way.
Gail brushed at her hair that used to lie on her shoulders, seeming startled it wasn't there.
Just hear me out. This won't last long.
Gail sucked her teeth and without looking at Pat, got up and led the way to one of the daycare rooms down the hall. And there they stood. They traveled by different paths, each with heavy baggage to shoulder, but they arrived at the crossroads together.
Gail, I don't know who you saw, but it wasn't me.
For so long, Pat had viewed Gail through a lens distorted by anger, colored by hurt. But looking at her straight on, Pat realized that there was more to what they had stared than that. For the first time in years, she felt the strong pull of their shared past.
I may have lost everything else, but my eyesight is still good.
Gail recited chapter and verse of The Morning at West Center that had been branded in her memory. Pat sank to the red preschool table.
You're right. It was me.
She looked directly in Gail's eyes, searching for that place where they used to tell each other the truth without even speaking.
But I swear on my life, I didn't see you.
You didn't want to see me. Just admit it, and we can go on in our separate ways. Because I didn't realize till now how bad I missed you, and I can't take this any longer.
No, not our separate ways. Not again. I had just come from meeting my father.
Your father?
Gail's harsh demeanor was softened by the impact of Pat's words. Pat nodded.
And he basically told me to go to hell. And when I got to my room, I couldn't see or hear anybody but what he said. And I wish I had seen you, but I just couldn't.
Voices and the clatter of plates and forks from down the hall filled the void as each adjusted her view of now based on a new understanding of then.
You found your father. And he said that.
Gail spoke quietly. Pat nodded and brushed at the tear that dripped onto her skirt. They were silent again. Pat looked up.
Gail. I mean, what are you doing here?
The short version? Ramsey was a gambler. I was blind and dumb. So busy looking I forgot to see. Yeah, remember we used to say that. Anyway, he lost it all. And then ran off and killed himself just before last Christmas.
I'm so sorry.
We kind of had a life piece together, Mom and Vanessa and me, and I was working as a receptionist at the hotel, and but then there was a fire. Vanessa was hurt real bad, and Mama.
Gail's voice cracked, and her fragile composure dissolved.
I lost my mama.
Telling Pat, who had eaten those buttermilk donuts around the kitchen table, brought home the enormous ache she hadn't made time to feel.
Aunt Loretta?
The shock of sadness brought Pat to her feet. Tentatively, they reunited in a hug that felt familiar and long overdue. As they clung to each other and cried, time and space fell away, and they were in front of the house in St. Albans the day Pat came to stay.
I love you, Patty. Me too.
Oh, we had another surprise at work today.
Gail put a big pot of water on to boil, dumped a 2-pound bag of frozen shrimp into a bowl of tepid water to thaw, gathered onions, peppers, olive oil, waiting for Vanessa's curiosity to kick in.
Why do you make so much food? I don't eat that much. You said we'll have leftovers, and then you toss them because you hate leftovers. It's just stupid.
Everything is stupid to you these days.
Gail turned away, chopped vegetables, heated the pan. Vanessa shrugged.
So, what happened?
I knew you wanted to know. This girl came into the
Oh,
office
one of your no-life L-heads.
That was Vanessa's name for the legions of girls who wore heartfelt letters, who wrote heartfelt letters about what the L stories meant to them.
I wish you wouldn't call them that. And she wasn't.
So,
she's from Erie, Pennsylvania, a little older than you,
The onions sizzled as Gail dumped them into the hot oil.
and she says she's Uncle Marcus's daughter.
Gail had hoped that adding uncle would blunt the impact of actually saying those words, but it still stung.
oh man, I wish I'd been there. I bet Aunt Pat was like, what, deranged.
She actually handled it calmly. Calmer than me. Would you make a salad, please?
Vanessa jumped off her stool, got a bag of ready-made salad from the crisper drawer, and dumped it into a bowl. Gail sauteed garlic and shrimp as she filled in the blanks.
Well, he was a jock. You know how they are.
How are they?
Gail put the 2 plates on the counter and sat down.
Come on, Mom. You've seen the press conference. I mean, in this corner, you have the crying skank.
Vanessa licked her fingers and dabbed wet spots below her eyes.
Oh, he was so big. He overpowered me. There was nothing I could do.
She batted her eyelashes.
And then in the other corner, you have the guy looking all kind of humble.
Vanessa straightened her imaginary tie, deepening her voice.
I never meant to dishonor myself. My vet, my team, and most of all, my loving wife. In any way,
Yeah, right. Meanwhile, the wife is standing behind him thinking, sucker, I got you, sucker, on you!
It wasn't like that when Marcus and I used to date.
Whoa. Marcus and who?
Damn. All that talk about the old days. It was an unspoken rule that the 3 of them hardly ever revisited that time. Certainly not with Vanessa. Not that there was anything wrong, but it was out now and Vanessa would never let it go. Gail popped a forkful of food in her mouth to give herself a moment to figure out what to say.
Huh? Back when we were kids. High school, really. Marcus and I, we used to date.
So he was your boyfriend?
Well,
Gail felt this conversation slipping out of her control. Another forkful.
yes. Pat was in boarding school, then she went away to college.
Mm-hmm.
We were all friends,
Mm-hmm.
okay? She and Marcus used to fuss all the time.
Like they do now?
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Marcus and I went together.
Mm-hmm.
It was childish, really.
Vanessa couldn't hold the excitement anymore.
So, that means you did it, right? OMG!
No. There was no it. I told him there was no it until we got married.
Oh, you are kidding, right? Because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, Tiffany probably is his, because he had to get it somewhere.
That's enough.
But in real, Mom, no guy's gonna keep it in his pants waiting for you. Our pro baller too, and what? You left him for my father. Whoa, great move. You didn't make him wait.
Gail looked stunned.
I'm not stupid, I can add.
Vanessa stabbed at a shrimp, looking triumphant.
Guess you gave it up to a loser.
What did you say?
Like she hadn't heard it loud and clear.
I guess I should be glad, since otherwise I wouldn't be here. But Uncle Marcus is kind of hot for an old dude, and he didn't jack up everybody's life and jump into the ocean. Yup, a prime time
Stop
loser.
it!
Oh, whatever.
He was your father.
So? You chose him, I didn't. For what he did, he deserves to be dead.
Vanessa!
Whoa! I'm done. Going to clean my room. Is that all right with you?
Gail wanted to yell, make her apologize, but for what? Telling the truth? Gail shuffled to the bathroom, locked the door, turned on the shower, bent over the toilet. It didn't take much to make it all come exploding out in spasms, eyes tearing, head aching. But when the retching was over and she panted for breath, a cloud of calm passed over her. It was peaceful for a moment. And when she left the bathroom, she was in control of everything but her shame.
Dear Donna and Virginia, I normally don't do this. However, I had to let you know I enjoyed this book from beginning to end. This book caught me at the beginning, and of course I had to stay tuned because I needed to know who died. I laughed, cried, shook my head, went through so many emotions. This was an excellent book, and I was on edge with every page, on every page. I love reading books where I can feel the emotions through the words. I felt that I was going through this with them. I will be looking into other books you have written. Just excellent, ladies. Oh, please, please, please shop this around for a movie or a short TV series. You cannot put all of this in 2 hours. I will be following you, ladies. Keep doing the great writing.
I brought up a glass for you.
In a minute. Right now, I see something I'd rather have.
He sat beside her, tried to pull her into an embrace. Celeste was as pliable as a 2x4.
Come here and let me ease your mind some.
I wish you could. Everett, I kind of already made plans for a vacation.
You planned a vacation and didn't tell me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. It's a surprise, right? You're gonna pick me up at the clinic with my bags packed?
Not exactly. It kept slipping my mind. It was a great opportunity, so I accepted the rental in Highland.
No, you didn't.
Everett shot to the other side of the room, hands on hips. He stared at the floor. The smooth contours of his face turned to granite, and Celeste felt static in the air, like right before a storm. They hadn't argued in a long time, but Celeste braced herself as he banged open a dresser drawer, grabbed some briefs, and put them on.
Please tell me you didn't do that, Celeste.
He opened the closet, snatched some chinos off the hanger.
It was getting late, and we hadn't made any plans. I didn't want us to get caught without anything.
Everett stopped in his tracks, glanced up at Celeste, then let out a big, whopping belly laugh.
What is so funny?
So, you booked the one place I specifically said I didn't want to go. Oh, that's good. That's really good, Celeste.
Everett's eyes stayed looking on her as he stepped into his pants. Celeste wasn't sure if they were fighting or making up, but the laughter stung.
I know what you said, Everett, but we always take a rental with...
Always is over. And you should have listened to me because I'm not going.
Oh, come on, Ev. I can't go alone. Lydia and Thornton, they would have a field day with that.
If you'd paid even a little attention to what I said, you would know I don't give a shit what they think.
You're overreacting. It's not the last vacation we'll take. We can go to your little jazz thing or whatever next year.
Celeste felt her world wobble. Everett stared at her like he'd never seen her before. Then he grinned, shook his head.
My little jazz thing, that about sums it up. You obviously don't care what I have to say.
That is not
I'm not going to
true.
even argue with you, Celeste, because if I give you enough time, you'll make this whole thing my fault.
He hurriedly pulled on a denim shirt, buttoned it lopsided.
I've tried everything I know how to do. Half the time, I feel like some kind of a show dog. You parade me around and collect points or ribbons, whatever you get for good performance.
He shoved his feet into sneakers, knelt to lace them. Celeste stood up, hoping to regain her footing. She picked up his towel from the bed, folded it, and held it to her chest.
We can always cancel. It's late for them to find another couple, but
It's not just the vacation. It's the way our marriage has been for years. You go along your merry way, making plans that suit some idea you have of the perfect life. You don't give me or anybody else credit for having sense, and how fortunate we poor fools are to have you show us the way.
I never said that.
You're right, you never came out and I was a disappointment to you, but your message is loud and clear. Well, I can't do this anymore.
He stood and looked at her square in the eyes.
I'm out of here, Celeste.
Fine. When you get back, we can continue.
Oh, I don't mean I'm gonna walk around the block. I mean, I want a divorce.
All Celeste could hear was her heart pounding. It felt like a long time before she could make her lips move.
You don't mean that.
Everett got his wallet off the dresser, shoved it in his pocket.
Do you even hear yourself? This would be funny if it wasn't. I almost walked away many times before, but something always stopped me. Nikki, or the way I remembered you back in the day. I don't know who you are anymore.
He moved toward the door, then stopped.
The last time I had my bag packed, your father died. I couldn't go then, wouldn't. We're family. It was a crisis. After that, I decided to give us one more chance, but I'm through with it. I see life and death regularly as a part of my job description. But when your father died, that was a personal reminder that life can be over faster than you can scratch your ear. Anytime, any day. It's too short not to enjoy every moment. And I've just been going through the motions here. See, this may be enough for you, but it's not enough for me.
Who? Who is it this time?
Celeste hissed, grasping wildly at anything to keep her balance.
Bingo, I've been waiting for your ace in the hole. It's been more than a damn decade, but you can make it feel like yesterday. I hate to disappoint you, but it's not about anyone else. It's about what we're not anymore. Maybe we never were.
What kind of example is this for Nikki?
It's time for you to stop hiding behind Nikki. In case you haven't noticed, she's a woman. And believe me, this won't come as a surprise to her. She lived here, remember? We can tell her when she's home in a couple weeks. I won't mention it to anyone until then.
Tell her what? This is crazy, Everett. Everett, are you having a nervous breakdown or something?
Everett closed his eyes, shook his head, then turned and left the room. Celeste stood paralyzed.
He can't leave me.
Her hands balled into a fist.
He can't leave me.
Her body quaking.
He can't leave me. He can't leave me! He can't leave me! He can't leave me! He
She
can't
heard
leave
the back door close, heard Everett start the car, and drive off.
Jewel grinned at Regina, who sucked her teeth at Carmen, and then reached between them and jabbed the elevator button again. And at that instant, the car went black as it screeched and jolted to a halt.
What the? If you didn't want to see the movie, you should have just said no, Reggie.
Very funny, smartass. This is kind of freaky. I can't even see my own.
This is not funny.
What?
Somebody could get hurt.
Like we planned this little get together? Maybe if we jump up and down a little.
Whoa! Are you crazy? If this thing falls, it could kill us.
You don't have to yell.
Then quit playing.
Pinpricks of fear tingled Carmen's arms as, despite the heat, she tried not to shiver. She snapped.
Oh, the emergency button is the red one on top. Think you can find it?
It would help if I could see.
Just move.
Carmen pushed to the front, away from memories of another elevator in the dark.
I'll do it.
But a chilly trickle of sweat slid down her back anyway. She leaned in and smacked at the buttons until a piercing bell ripped through the silence. When it stopped, Regina peeled her hands from her ears.
shit I may never hear again.
Oh, do you have to curse?
Carmen asked, forcing herself back to the present, and Regina lost her cool.
What is it with you, Carmen? Damn! You walk around here with your nose in the air like you can't be bothered with anybody.
I'm here to get an education. Period. I've got a job, work study, my classes, and an hour commute. I don't have time to socialize like some people.
La the freaking da. It's the same 4-year sentence whether you talk to anybody or not. It doesn't mean that you can't say hi or crack a smile.
You come to blows, tomorrow's Spectator headlines will read, Barnard Blacks in Butler brawl. Huh, that's good. Maybe I should, maybe I do have a future in journalism. I like that.
She sensed the tension ratchet down a notch.
You're not well.
I have got to get out of this box and go to work, if that's all right with you two.
Anybody in there?
Yes!
Sit tight, we're working on it. We have to, we can lower you manually as soon as the mechanic gets here.
Great! I'm gonna be late for work again.
Carmen retreated to a corner and sank to the floor.
The mechanic is probably home in the Bronx watching TV.
I hate cigarette smoke.
Jewel took a big drag, blew a smoky plume up in the air.
Okay. You hate smoking.
She stubbed her cigarette on the floor and thumped the butt to the corner.
Let's get this out while we're stuck in here. What else don't you like about me?
It was matter of fact, the way she'd ask a director for comments on the scene.
Must be something. You never spoke to me in art history. Not once.
Guess we're in it now.
Regina leaned back in her corner, waiting for the fireworks.
I didn't have orchestra seats. I sat in the balcony.
Oh, come off it. I sat in the front row because it was a 2-hour lecture and I needed the legroom. And so I could answer enough questions to let the professor know I wasn't the stupid girl from the sitcom who got in because I could afford to pay tuition.
She leaned toward Carmen.
That's what you think too, isn't it?
What do you care what I think?
Carmen gave Jewel credit for being direct. If she wanted it straight, she'd get it.
I hate when people judge me on what they think they know. Fair?
Okay. Fair.
Jewel wasn't at all like she'd expected.
What did make you come here? I mean, you don't exactly need a degree to act.
Maybe I don't want to act. Maybe I want to be a diplomat or a drama critic or an art historian. What's your major, Carmen?
Biochem.
Ooh.
I'm pre-med.
Ooh.
Carmen always liked the way it sounded. She had staked out a future to obliterate her past, and the present was what she had to go through to get there.
Man, pre-med? Okay, you really do have to study all the time.
What did you get in art class anyway?
An A? You?
I got a B.
Guess you should have studied with the sitcom girl.
Carmen let the comment dangle a while.
Maybe next time.
Miss Lisa Nicole Robertson, Miss Magdalene Coleman, Miss Roseanne Cherry, last but not least, someone you all know, Mr. Harry Lennox. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so now we are going to bring our panelists up, and Madeline is going to lead our next part of this program.
Another round of applause for our fabulous actors. And so we have about 40 minutes to have a little chat, which we will, and we'll try to see if we can squeeze in some Q&A for all of you, so we'll probably just chat for about 30 minutes. And the first thing I want to do, just as an icebreaker, and we have to do this considering that the Geena Davis Institute really focuses on what our kids see, is to just do what we call an icebreaker round and ask our esteemed panelists, was there any fictional character when they were growing up, whether it was books or TV or film, that inspired them in any way? So I'm going to turn to the phenomenal Yolanda Brinkley, who's one of our esteemed panelists.
Fictional character is Tootie from The Facts of Life. Couldn't tell me that I was not going to be her on my roller skates at the boarding school.
I guess I really liked King Arthur. You know, I got a bunch of books when I was a kid, and King Arthur was somebody that I modeled or thought I could pull a rock from a stone one day. Yeah, that was my guy.
I wanted to be every character that I saw in every movie and every TV show. When I would watch Heidi, and I'd want my mother just to feed us bread and cheese, and I'd watch a cowboy movie, and I'd want to go panning for gold. I wanted to be every character I ever saw, and it never occurred to me that I couldn't, all the way through to Gidget, which is what people call me now.
I loved The Cat in the Hat and all of those rhyming books, because that was coming in when I was a little kid. And I still like rhyming books for children. It was the words and the stories that, and not so much that I wanted to be them, but I wanted to be fascinated by them and what happens next, because that's really the thing as a writer that you do. You want to know what happens next.
So I guess I was a tomboy because I liked She-Ra and G.I. Joe and all those types of action heroes.
And I'm going to age myself now, but that's okay. So for me, it was the original Avengers. Emma Peel, played by the amazing Diana Rigg, who's on Games of Thrones. For some of you, maybe one other person besides me was actually alive back then.
Yeah,
and
really.
also a few. And that girl, played by Marla Thomas.
Yeah.
So I want to be that girl. So I want to turn now to our esteemed authors, Virginia and Donna, who talked a little bit about being authors, but I want them to kind of go back to their origin story because they both started writing journalism education and then had kind of an unusual twist that brought them together before they became these best-selling authors. And for people who may be thinking about becoming authors, I'd love for you to talk about your origin story.
We were both in a career that neither of us thought, we didn't even think about it. It wasn't on the list. If you had a list of 100, it was about 1,074,000. And that was in both of our lives at really pretty much the same time. Someone said, you know, you would be great as a plus size model. And we both had the same reactions, like, you have lost your mind.
And this is long before, this is before Ashley Graham was born and before there was an Emmy. We were doing this in the 80s, but I was a high school English teacher in Buffalo, New York. And I had a friend who was a booker at Wilhelmina Models. We had gone to high school together, and she said to me, you know, I think you'd be really good at this plus size modeling thing. And I said, you know how old I am. I'm the same age you are. Models don't start in their 30s. And she said, don't tell them how old you are. They'll never know. And we ended up at the same plus size model agency. Donna and I were the two black models. We were direct competition. We were supposed to despise each other.
We had direct financial ramifications on each other's lives. But despite that, we realized how much we had in common, books among the things that we had in common. A lot of life experience, neither of us was a kid. And we realized that the art director was going to book whoever they decided to book, and it had nothing to do with us having to dislike each other. So we got to be really good friends.
And I didn't model for very long because after having been the teacher for 10 years, the person in charge, being the lowest person on the totem pole, the model, being told where to stand and what to wear, it just didn't really suit my personality very well. And this is long before Naomi Campbell threw a phone, but it was gonna happen. And I was on a booking for Essence magazine, and there were 8 people touching me at the same time. That's 16 hands on you, folks. That's 16 hands. And I thought, I just can't do this anymore. So I quit modeling and actually went on the agency side. I became an agent and a model scout, and I did that for a while, and then I ended up with a gig working as a spokesperson for Hanes Hosiery. Hanes had decided to do queen-size pantyhose, and they needed somebody to go out and talk about it, and I was it. And I suggested to them that they do a fashion newsletter that they give away in department stores. And they bought the idea, and the first thing I said was, Donna, you want to work on this newsletter?
So that was our first working experience together, and what we realized through that was that we think inside each other's heads. It wasn't an unpleasant finding. It felt right.
A little itchy at first.
If you gave us a stack of 100 photos, we'd edit down to the same 2. We could figure out what needed to happen, because we were it. That we were the staff. We had titles, it didn't matter. Whatever had to get done, we did it. We could figure out what articles needed to happen, did interviews and all that. And as a result of that newsletter, some folks who ran a fashion magazine in Boston came to us with the idea of doing a plus-size magazine and wanted to know, would we be interested in working with them? And we, of course, said yes, because...
No is not in our vocabulary.
No, we'll figure it out. I was a newspaper geek from high school. I had a job at the Daily News before I was a model. So the words, the type, all of that, deadlines, it was kind of right up my alley. So that magazine was Maxima. It was plus-size fashion and lifestyle. This was 1985, 6? Yeah. And we had a ball. We worked like crazy because, again, we were the staff.
I was the editor-in-chief.
And I was the managing editor.
Our office was my apartment. We had a lovely dining room table. That was what we did everything.
Right. But we had a great time doing it. It just felt really, really right. And we were going to be Condé and Nast. Until the money ran out. We got this lovely phone call on a New Year's Eve. This was right after my wedding, where I worked up to the day before I got married. And the day after, before we went on our honeymoon, I had captions to write. So I was back at her apartment. So we were really dedicated. So then we got this phone call that said, it's been really great working with you. That is never a good way to start a conversation. And it was when the crash had happened in '87, their money disappeared, and so did our magazine.
But we knew that we had to figure out something to do together. We didn't know what it was going to be. We tried to come up with something sane, something normal and regular, but you know, I'm a person who quit her job as a school teacher after 10 years to move to New York City at the age of 32 to pursue a career as a fat model. So doing things regular was not on my list of things. So we said, I don't know, what do you think about writing a book?
And neither of us knows who said it first. Maybe we just don't want to. But the other one said sure, and so we started. It never occurred to us that it was a strange idea to write with a partner. It just felt like an outgrowth of everything that we had learned about working together. And we wrote this book, which was called Exposures.
It was about the fashion business. It was about a Swedish-American fashion photographer.
And the craziness of her family and the mystery of Sven, her father.
It was her grandfather. It was her grandfather.
That's right, her father was a whole other mystery. But in any case, we needed to find out whether we really could write a book together, whether anybody would publish it, whether anybody would read it. And we needed to kind of figure that out early or move on. And so
We got a literary agent, she sold it within 2 weeks to Warner Books, and they said, you can get this book published if you can write it in 4 months. We didn't know that wasn't possible, so we did. And that was how we started.
So we're talking about unusual transitions, and before I turn it to Mr. Harry Lennox, I have to disrupt and have a trivia moment, and so I need you to all pay attention. So, whoever is the first person to shout this out will win a bottle of wine. What is Harry's relationship to Geena Davis?
He played her chief of staff on Commander-in-Chief.
Done! Bottle of wine. So I have to tell you this story. So when I found out that Tyra had secured Harry to be on the panel, I said to Geena, so what do you think of that Harry Lennox? And Geena texted me and she said, he's my angel. So anyway, so I know you loved working together, but that's not actually the first question I'm going to ask you about. So how did you go from wanting to be the first Black Pope to an actor with being a teacher in the middle of that? How did that happen?
Well, it's, for me, I guess it was, I wanted to be, well, I don't know, to be honest with you. But at a certain point I realized, I think, in the things that we would do for the church, for liturgies, I would be asked to memorize things. So we would do every year in the Catholic nativity, there's a thing called the martyrology, where you essentially sing or intone the genealogy of Christ and so forth. And I had this aptitude for memory. Like I could memorize the Mass, I could memorize, if somebody dropped a line, I could always do. So I thought that there was a correlation between performance on command for a divine purpose, as it were, and acting. So I guess it was sort of a natural transition for me. But I think, I went to a seminary high school because I was serious about being a priest, and then for a little while to the seminary college. But at that time, I never was able, after I left, to get the idea of service out of my mind. And so that's where the school teaching came in. So I taught in the Chicago public school system for about 8 years, mostly music. I taught myself to play because that was the only position they had room for. And I taught myself to read and to play piano music and these things because I've always wanted to live a life of quiet study, but somehow it turned into this.
And so he had a scholarship to Northwestern and originally hailed from Chicago, so I just love to give a shout out to people who actually get a scholarship. I was not one of them. And then, so can you talk about how did you actually get into acting? And what's so interesting about Harry's background is that he's multi-hyphenated in that he's classically trained in Shakespeare and theater, also TV and film. And so that was then, this is now. What did you start in first? And now looking at where the industry is, you've worked in all the mediums. For anyone who's looking to act or write, because he does all of that and direct, would you push people to one way or another based on opportunity? So that's a two-parter.
Yeah, that's a lot, and but I like it. I like that a lot. But I think that my only rule in life is that you follow where I think like nature. I follow a path of least resistance. So, graduating, you got to get a job. My mother didn't suffer fools. We had to put something toward the rent and all of these things. And so I got a job as a substitute teacher because I thought that if I did that I would have occasions where I could go and audition for plays. Because of my bearing, I woke up one day at the age of 15 with this voice. And scared the hell out of my mother. My mother was like, who's that? Where'd that come from? But so I was always able to play above my age. So I started working. I had a job from the time I was 10 years old. I was a custodian, and then I was a cashier at a thing. But I like to work, and so I got jobs as young men in professional theater from the time I was 19. I was still a student at Northwestern University. Go Cats! We got some Wildcats here. Go Cats! Anyway. So I just kept getting work. It wasn't very lucrative, hence the school teaching. But because of the training at Northwestern and all of that, I was able to do Shakespeare. So I really started off doing Shakespeare, and then I got work as August Wilson actor. And again, you know, there's all of these, I'll take the credit for it, sure. August Wilson, I had a chance to work with him directly, and he's a great man from Pittsburgh originally, but to be able to work with somebody who used a kind of Shakespearean code almost, all this knowledge and poetry within the body of a text, of a dramatic story, was something that I think I felt I had a proclivity for. And so for the early part of my life, I did a lot of theater, a lot of Shakespeare, a lot of August Wilson, and then somehow I started getting cast. But the real, I guess my first job was this movie called The 5 Heartbeats. Crazy. I went down, I was teaching school, I took a half a day that day, and I went in and Robert met us, we did an audition, and like 2 months later I got a call that said, you're one of the 5 Heartbeats. So this is just, I don't consider it coincidence. But all of these things have sort of, you talk about intersectionality, I think that happens in sequence. I think that you can be a multi-hyphenate, but then the hyphenation is not just sometimes character, who you are, but the timing of things. And so while I was teaching, I found myself in places where I would meet people or be allowed or called upon to do things or to learn certain skills. And it's been, you know, just this amazing journey. And I consider myself more than anything, more than talent or anything. It's luck and perseverance. So that's how it's come to me, I guess.
Well, fabulous perseverance and success. But for the people in the audience, can you talk about, because you have operated not only as an artist, but also taking control of your destiny as a producer, a director, when you look at where TV is with streaming, you look at film, you look at theater, what would you say to anyone kind of coming out of school? Is theater more welcoming? Is a good place to kind of hone your chops? Or, hey, everybody's making a show and streaming. Like, what would you suggest, or what are your thoughts about that?
This is a great question, Madeline. I think that the answer when I was coming out of school would be different than what it is now. Because when I was coming out of school, the means of production was far more expensive. A camera cost you $100,000 back then. Now we've got phones, and you could shoot a movie quality film on your phone. And so because of the kind of egalitarianism or the potential of that, this net neutrality thing, the internet can belong to everybody. And if somebody can figure out a way to monetize it, then it's a brave new world. And so what I say to anybody coming out now, men, male, female, gender neutral, whatever, young, old, if you want to make a movie, if you want to be an actor, if you want to tell stories, if you want to be a writer, there's nothing stopping you now except for the perseverance to make sure you have a beginning and a middle of an end, that you bring to bear everything that you have in your wheelhouse, and you tell your story. There's nothing stopping. Money is no longer an excuse. Diligence and persistence and talent, and you can find, these two ladies found each other by chance, but they were able to sort of live through each other's dreams or sleep through each other's dreams, think in each other's heads. There's an entire community we now have access to out here in this internet world where you can find the people, you can find your family, your village, your army that can make whatever you want to make. You may not be able to guarantee its sale or its viability, but then again, you might. But there's a much better chance now than there was when I was coming out. But I have never thought, I mean, I grew up in Chicago, and to a large extent, Harlem and Brooklyn aside, Chicago's kind of the capital of Black America, or was. We do not wait around to make baseball teams, funeral homes, newspapers. Chicago is the head of entrepreneurialism for Black people in the United States of America. And so, you know, we had hospitals and all that. I grew up in the neighborhood with the Black Muslims. They had their own stores. I could literally find an entire community and live in that, but we had the example of doing for self and not thinking of ourselves as victims. But if another man can do it, or another woman can do it, then you could do it. And so that was drilled into me. I didn't grow up with a father. You know, my father died before I was 2, and all of these things. But my mother never stopped working. She never let us take days off from school. We had to I was a sickly little kid, too much premature, but my mother made me work every day. And so if it can be done, then it is our obligation to stop, I think, waiting for somebody else to do what we can do for ourselves.
Words to live by. Words to live by. So I'm going to turn to Yolanda. So what's interesting about Yolanda, and we talk about blurred lines of media, and when you think about it, advertising is the grandmother of storytelling when you think about it. And Yolanda has straddled or sits at the intersection of Hollywood, you know, and Vine, and has worked on kind of both sides, multiple sides. And I'd love for you to talk about how you got there. Also talk a little bit about now and then in terms of corporate America, and you know, everybody wants to get in on their D&I initiatives and who's doing it right and who's not, and just talk through the little bit of how you got to where you are and what you're seeing in terms of, you know, the trends.
Okay, thank you. So I'll start. I'm going to just jump on in here. I was an 8th grade French teacher with Teach for America. I taught in the Baltimore City public school system for 4 years. So I started there after attending Clark Atlanta University, where I was a French major.
Parlez-vous français on steroids.
From there, I went to University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign for my MBA, Marketing and International Business. All the time, though, I've always been interested in entertainment from the outside looking in. I grew up performing, so I always had an interest. But, you know, being a child in an underserved community, you kind of want the real job. So you kind of go that route, but it wouldn't leave. After graduate school, I worked at Ford Motor Company for 10 years in various capacities, marketing, sales, service, events on Lincoln Mercury brand, and my last job was corporate affairs for Jaguar Land Rover North America. And that is when I moved to Orange County, California, and then that was October of 2007. And then in January 2009, if we wanted our jobs, I had to be back in New Jersey because Ford sold Jaguar Land Rover to Tata Motors, and if I wanted my job, I had to go back. Well, I had 4 going away parties, sold my condo in Bergen County, New Jersey, and I was like, well, I'm not going back. So I quit my job, and the rest is history. I quit my job in December 2008, and I've been doing my own thing since. And that includes marketing, PR, production, everything. And one day, I was sitting in my spare bedroom, probably watching like Young and the Restless or something. And I literally sat up and was like, oh, I could go to Cannes. Because I had studied in Cannes twice as an undergraduate. I received 2 scholarships to study 4 months each in the fall. And I learned about the Cannes Film Festival then. And I literally just was like, oh, I can go to Cannes. And I figured out what I needed to do to get there. And I went, and my friends threatened me, don't come back here without any footage. So I took this video camera and I just walked up on all the black people. Like, hey, what are you doing here? Sai was there. Sai's on my video. She's on my video. And I was just like, oh, what are you doing here? Have you been to any of the parties? How do you get on the red carpet? And nobody knew shit. Excuse me. Nobody knew nothing. They absolutely had no idea. I had no idea. They had no idea. And I was like, okay, well, you know, then I was looking cute and I met one of the securities and he gave me a ticket. So that was just like motivation for me to kind of figure out, okay, how does this work? How do we get together, or how do we figure out this kind of system that's going on? And I speak French, I've been to Cannes, I know the city, but I really still feel like an outsider. And so I'm like, Then that was 2009, and then in 2010, Diversity in Cannes was born. The whole year, I was thinking about it, and I didn't know how to approach it. You know, of course it was going to be Blacks in Cannes, then it was going to be Diversity in Cannes. You know, I didn't know what exactly it would be. And then the first year, in 2010, we had our first afternoon symposium. It was cross-cultural because I had to figure out, I didn't have a budget. So I was using my funds, you know, from my condo sale, from my package from work, you know, all that stuff. And I didn't have, you know, you don't know who's coming. If you know anything about the Cannes Film Festival, they make their announcements in April. So you don't know who's coming. I couldn't afford to bring anyone over, so I had to kind of wait. And I had to stalk the internet like once I figured it out. So to Harry's point, I grew Diversity in Cannes from an afternoon cross-cultural like symposium to a comprehensive kind of diversity day by using the internet, right? Literally, I Googled the people who were selected, and then I like just figured out how to find them, you know, either on Instagram, whatever. I looked for them, and really that's how Diversity in Cannes was born. And it was much needed, you know, just because my folk didn't know what to do when they got there. And now, as a part of my program, I have an information session, which is actually next Monday at the WGA in Los Angeles, so I'm going back. I have 2 short film showcases. One is general diversity, race, religion, sexual orientation, class, physical ability, anything, you know, diversity of thoughts. And then I have a targeted showcase and an awards reception. And so now it's, even though the festival doesn't recognize me, they don't recognize us, but we show up. And we take our seat at the proverbial table, whether they like it or not. And we're celebrating 10 years. And so with that, as far as the intersectionality between Hollywood and Vine, you know, I had the corporate experience, I had the entertainment experience, and what I've learned throughout my career, I've always had a passion for the underdog, so that always means I was always involved in D&I initiatives. And what I see now, they are not getting it right. The corporations, they're still not getting it right, as evidenced by their ads. And you can certainly see that there's no one in the room that's green-lighting, that's approving these ads, these commercials of color or of any diverse backgrounds. You can see that by the ads, from the Dove commercial where you go from white to black or black to white, from this recent Burberry runway show. They're not getting it, and I'm not sure what it's going to take. I mean, I'm not sure what it's going to take to make it happen, but I'm just changing the perception one short film at a time, like on a global scale. That's all I can do. I'm the change that I wish to see with Diversity in Cannes.
And before we just close on Yolanda, for anyone who, filmmakers in the room, if they want to get involved, if they want to be part of the summit for this coming June, do they get a hold of you? Do they email you? What's the process? Like what's the what?
So basically all you have to do is follow me on social media at Diverse in the letter N, Cannes, C-A-N-N-E-S. And I manage all the social media accounts. If you're interested, you have a short film to submit, you want to be involved, just follow me on social media and we can be in touch that way.
Great, thank you. So I want to turn back now to Tyra and Virginia and Donna. And so it's been a year since we did this table read, and you have also manifested a lot of momentum toward taking these fabulous words to a moving image. So I'd love to hear from Donna and Virginia what's happening a year later. How do you feel about it? Because you've been down this road before. And then Tyra, the three of you together, just talk about where you're at, what you need, how people can help you, and what we're going to talk about a year from now when there's a movie or a series or something. So I'd love to spend the rest of the time we have to talk about that.
I think that hopeful is what I am feeling. Just, I don't know, was it this week that we heard that Gabrielle Union, in conjunction with Octavia Butler, they are bringing Coffee Will Make You Black, which was a novel from 1993. Yeah, to the screen. So it's kind of that there is momentum. There are actors who are interested in finding work that pertains to them, that fills their heart. They are now able to find the financing, find the studio, get it done. That is encouraging to both of us.
There are so many more outlets now that require content. And for some reason, they seem to be awakening to the idea that there can be content that's not all white. And that Black literature is a place to turn to, and not just historical fiction. We do not discount the stories of slavery and Reconstruction and those times, but we also live lives now. And our stories exist in the present, in the same world that everybody else lives in. And they seem to be getting, they meaning the people who greenlight things, that these are avenues and stories that are viable. There is such a canon of literature. I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of 10 books by Black authors that I know would make great movies. And I actually just read one that I wrote a blurb for that will be coming out in the fall. And it's a magnificent story about the first Black policeman in Harlem that solves a murder. And it is not anything that anybody has ever done before. It takes place during the time of the Harlem Renaissance. It is a great book. It would make a great movie. And I think that there is now space and room for our stories to be told in the broadness that they exist, which has not heretofore been the case.
And so when you talk about, Harry spoke about perseverance so eloquently. The three of us, really, we call ourselves Three Colored Girls. We've been on this journey since 2006, persevering. I always joke, one day I got $10 million from a venture capitalist, a VC person, and then the next day he turned his head and said, I'm not doing it. Or the next day, a couple years later, I got the money and then something happens. So persevere, with the passion and the vision, at least for me, that I am determined to see me reflected on film and TV, because I've yet to see someone like me fully reflected on film and television in a high quality, beautiful, fully developed manner. I can be smart, I can love, I'm not a stereotype. So perseverance. So in 2017, my mother passed away, and I promised her that I was gonna make these movies, Mom. And so 2018, yes, we did this event last year for 72 and Sunny, and that started some momentum for us, especially with Courtney Parker, who's the vice president of, who's a Hollywood exec at Adaptive Studios. And so about 3 weeks ago, and again, in terms of hopeful, and if you believe in the universe always working for your good and things becoming in alignment, just so happened this wonderful actress by the name of Regina King won a Golden Globe Award, right? And prior to that, like 3 or 4 years prior, she'd won consecutive Emmys for ABC's American Crime Story. But prior to that, in the 1990s, when this Trying to Sleep in the Bed You Made first was with Andre Harrell at HBO, she was the talent attached. Wow. And then when I joined on board and really started pushing this in 2006, she stayed the talent attached. And so, last week when I was having lunch with her sister and things of that nature, she's still attached. So by the grace of God, she will win this Oscar on Sunday. And we have interest right now with Adaptive Studios, with Regina King, to either direct or star or executive produce. And we're in negotiations, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. And, you know, last week in L.A., there's been some more interest from some other wonderful people regarding other books by Virginia and Donna. So staying prayerful and persevering, and we'll see, but we're moving forward.
I just want to ask the panelists if they have any final words, but I'm all about shameless promotion, so before we do, Yolanda already told you how to get in touch with her with Diversity in Canon. You know, for Harry Lennox, watch him on Blacklist. Make him the star of your next movie, TV series, whatever. He also has a production company, so so if you have money and you want to invest, there's that. You already know that Tyra and Donna and Virginia are looking for packaging, and they're also open for some corporate brands and branded entertainment. So I know we've got some brands, big brands, sitting on the desks around here. And then I'm just going to pass this around. Any other final words?
I say just do it. Don't wait for permission. Just start showing up, whether they like it or not. That's my final words.
I love those. I'm going to ditto those, but also let you know I have a film that I wrote, self-financed, produced, is coming out at Easter. It's called Revival. It's a gospel musical. It stars the great Mali Music, who wrote most of the music in the movies, Shaka Khan, Michelle Williams, and Destiny's Child, Kenny Lattimore, Saida Garrett. But it is the chapter and verse Gospel of John set to gospel music in a way that you've never seen it before. So, Revival.
And one of our mottos is, if you don't ask, the answer is no.
So we keep asking, and some days that's a little difficult, and some days we can rally together to continue getting it done. Tyra truly has been a tireless champion, and it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, but the beauty of it is if you make your vision come true, there are a lot of other people who are waiting for it. They don't know they're waiting for it, but when they see it, they go, I was waiting for that. So if you don't do it, it doesn't get done.
And my quick message is just for all of us to do better, right? Do better, love each other better, work with each other better, especially as women. Sometimes we can be so catty and so, be nicer to one another, ladies, as we work together. And as I said last week, let's network like men. right? If we're gonna say we're gonna do something, let's do something. You know, let's do it together, and let's not get caught up in pettiness. Let's do some business together.
Amen to that. So I want to thank our esteemed panelists. I want to thank 72 and Sunny. For those of you who aren't a member of the Institute, please see Mary Ellen. We'd love to have you join. We'd love to have you get more involved in New York. And we'll see you in a few months. Thank you.